What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be showing off Pulse, which is our new Lumin tool. This is a one-of-a-kind optimization tool that's going to let you, do all kinds of optimizations like background apps, DWM, smart affinity, and so much more. I'm going to get into all of it in just a minute. Now, if you want to find this tool, you can head to lumintweaks.com/services. I'm going to leave a link in the description. From there, you can purchase the tool. And if you have any questions about it, you can always join our Discord, which I'll leave a link to as well. Upon purchasing the tool, you're going to get these two files. You can run the dependency checker first. This is just going to make sure that you have the necessary dependencies for our tools. And then you can run the Pulse setup. Simply click next, next, and install. And then it will create a shortcut just like this. I'm not going to go through the installer as I've already installed it, obviously. So now we can go ahead and run Pulse as admin. You're going to put in the key here that you get from the bot. I don't need to, as it automatically saves your key and I've logged into it before. But anyway, here we are in the UI. So you have general, optimization, games, and background. I'm going to be going through all this and showing you how it works. So first we have general. We have hide on start. So this is just going to show no application when Pulse is running. And we are actually in the config UI, not Pulse itself right now. So you'll see what Pulse looks like running here in a minute. And then we have run on Windows startup. Pulse will automatically open and scan for game processes when your Windows starts. You have scan interval, which is how often that scan happens. Game wait, which is how long it'll wait after you open a game. You have the reapply check, which is how often it'll check if it needs to re-optimize the threads. And then you have logging mode and completion sounds. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Logging mode will only show if you do not hide the window on start. Now we have the fun part, which is the optimizations. So you have your priority class, which this is the main switch for how Windows views your game. It basically will set it to a higher priority. I recommend using balanced or high, as real time is a little bit too much. Maybe it'll work for some of you, but for most processors, it's slightly too high. Next, we have the background apps. So this will find apps that are running in the background that aren't your current game process, like Chrome, Spotify, or Discord, and it tells the CPU to ignore them as much as possible. Now, that won't close them, it just puts them at the back of the line, so it will be deprioritized. They'll still work. The only issue with maybe be like Discord, your screen share might be a little bit laggier, but I don't think that's going to matter to some of you. If it does, you can always turn it off. Next, we have DWM optimization. DWM is the part of Windows that draws your desktop. So this setting prioritizes the specific part of DWM that handles your mouse and keyboard, making your mouse feel more responsive and just overall faster. Next, we have smart affinity. If you have a newer CPU, which it'll automatically detect for this, it will lock your game to the efficient P cores. That way your game stays on the fastest cores and doesn't go to any background cores or anything like that. Then we have CPU sets. This takes a few of your CPU core and reserves them strictly for your game. It keeps background junk from ever touching those specific cores, which can lower stuttering and just overall help prioritize your game. We have ideal processor, which this will give Windows a hint on which core is the best for each part of the game. It helps the CPU work more efficiency without forcing it into a hard lock. And then down here we have all of our thread settings. So extreme priority will find the two busiest parts of your game and move them to the absolute front of the line, which is priority 15. And for Fortnite and all the other games we have here, we automatically have the threads optimized. This will be more for other games that you don't have optimized. So if you want to add a game profile here, it will work for those games. Next, we have power throttling. This stops Windows from slowing down your game to save power or battery life. We have power request. This prevents CPU from napping during small breaks in the action, so it will keep the CPU fully awake and make sure it doesn't enter any sleep states. Now, this is a little bit different from BIOS C states, obviously, but it's doing all that we can at a Windows level to prevent those sleep states. Next, we have Thread QoS, which just tells Windows 11 or whatever Windows you're running that your game is a high quality task. It prevents the OS from putting your game into efficiency mode, which would otherwise cut your performance down. We have priority boost, which this will lock your game's priority in place. It'll stop Windows from constantly changing how much power the game gets, making your frame rates stay more stable. This will help improve stutters. And then lastly, we have the Pro Audio MMCSS. This uses a special Windows system, usually reserved for music recording, so it'll give your game's audio and frames priority over almost everything. This will help for lower audio latency. Now, I think that's just about it for the settings. The other tabs we have here, I briefly mentioned this, but you could just add a game and you select the exe here, and then you can automatically edit the threads if you want. This is more for complex users, though, who know what they're doing with the certain DLLs. I would recommend this if you don't really know what you're doing. Same with the background apps. These are already all configured, but if you know what you're doing with threads and you want to add more background apps and change their threads, you have all that priority. And all these changes you make will automatically save to the config, which will be used for Pulse. Now that we have all of that explained, we can finally get to showing how it works. So if you have it for run on Windows Startup, it'll obviously, you won't need to click Start Pulse. But for this sake, I'm going to go ahead and click it. And as you can see, it's going to authenticate us here. And we can see our config that was applied from this UI, our detected games, and then our game database. So this scan is going to wait for any games you have to launch. And if we go ahead and launch Fortnite, as you can see, it's going to find the game here in a second. There it is, waiting for game initialization. This is going to wait 30 seconds, which you can again set, if you want to make it wait for longer. But this is just enough time for my game to load up. Alright, as you can see, it's applying all of the optimizations. It's optimized all of these threads, and it's showing us what all it's changing. And there's the audio. As you can hear, that's the sound setting. So if it is running in the background, it's a good thing to have. That way you'll know that it's applied. But we can see the processes throttled 51, RAM purge 50, CPU affinity locked, E-cores, and then page priority lowered. This is at 0 because this won't work for most games, and we don't want to force anything with a game like Fortnite, as this could, flag the anti-cheat. So it's completely compliant with anti-cheat, though. We have measures to make sure that it doesn't do any process memory manipulation that would trigger any detection, so it's completely safe to use. But as you can see, all of my background apps like Steam Web Helper, Epic Games, the Video Display Container, Con Host, and Windows Priorities, these all got deprioritized. And then these right here are the Fortnite threads. So you have the game thread, the render thread, RHI thread, the network, and the worker thread, and async loading thread. So you can see game, RHI, and render all got set to time critical. And then we put the network and worker threads to normal and the sync loading thread to idle. This will help prioritize the most meaningful threads of your game and overall make the game feel better. And then we have the 8 efficiency cores for background apps. Again, this is all automatically detecting. Now, I think that is just about everything for Pulse. I hope this explanation has given you really everything about the software. I try to really go in depth for this one because it is kind of a hard tool to understand. But this tool will help decrease latency substantially. It'll improve stuttering. It's not necessarily one of those FPS boost tools. It can boost FPS, but it's more for just making your game feel smooth and stable. Me personally, using this on multiple games, I have noticed my mouse and feeling a lot smoother and my inputs registering better. But yeah, feel free to test it out. And this is a month trial product, so if you sign up for your first month and you don't like it, you can always cancel. But yeah, guys, I hope you have enjoyed the video. I will be uploading more videos soon, maybe on our new BIOS tool, which you can also find in the description, as well as the new auto tweaker update that we've released. If you want all the news to our latest updates, just go ahead and join the Discord, and you can find all of our optimizations and updates here. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. and I'll see you guys again soon. Peace out.